Nice. Milsurp Garage. Time to talk about the Beretta Model 1934. Unfortunately, I only have this magazine here with this article that has these pictures, so I'm only going to be able to show you the gun in pictures. Nah, fooled you. Yes, it's not the same exact gun, but definitely a good model for it. All right, let's talk about this thing. A lot of interesting stuff going on. I had to take a bit of the Halloween break there. Sorry about that. I did want to come right back with this model after the 35, but then, you know what I wanted to check out? I wanted to check out what was going to go on with YouTube, because they let me explain to you what happens with these videos when I put these videos up on guns quickly before we move into this thing. You'll find this interesting. The first thing that they do is immediately demonetize it and make it where it's limited ads can only be put on. It says not suitable for most advertisers, right? Now, first of all, trust me, I really don't care about the $19 I've made on YouTube in the last 4 months. It's really not a monetary thing. What I like about the monetization is I really like to keep my finger on the pulse of this PC thing with this guns, this Second Amendment, this Second Amendment thing where your ability to even showcase firearms or talk about them. This is a constitutional right to own these things, and that a thing like YouTube would want to try to quell your informational spreading abilities, let's put it. I find it fascinating, actually, for them to tell me that advertisers, it's not suitable for advertisers. It's like, well, what kind of advertisers do you have? And there are tons of advertisers that would love to advertise on gun channels. Believe me, guns are big business. So I always like to just really see what's going on. I think it's fascinating, the monetization, just to watch. I feel like I have a finger on the pulse of how YouTube is reacting to firearm stuff. Whereas before, I was just kind of, what did I know? How they felt about it or what they were doing when I was monetized. You understand? So that's why I like it. So what happens with these videos is they are immediately limited and considered not suitable for most advertisers immediately. So then what I have to do is I have to go into each and every video when that happens, and then I have to ask for a manual review. And then they either come back and say, okay, we manually reviewed it, so I guess somebody watches it, and then they either monetize it or not. Now, here's the thing. What are the rules why they would monetize it or not? The rules for not monetizing it are actually, it's kind of like foggy. Like, are you talking about, they're talking about like that you're not allowed to show modifications of firearms, or how to build firearms, or how to modify them, or change them from their original form. When you read it, it's kind of weird. You're like, I'm not doing any of that. But I think when someone is watching a video to make a determination, if they see me taking it apart and showing parts and putting them back together, they're like, well, that's it. He's showing the inner workings. He's showing modifications. So that's why that happens. But I really feel like by their rules, I'm not really doing anything that I'm not allowed to do on any of my videos. But the one for the 1935 was demonetized, and I had to review it, and it's taken a really long time for them to figure that out, probably because I was talking smack about that they were going to demonetize it. So, But whatever, I don't know. I really wanted to get a determination to give that to you here, but I can't wait any longer. They still haven't made a decision. So now I'm going to follow up with this one that's going to get demonetized, and then I'll review that, and that'll be right behind it. So, all right. I didn't want to make this a YouTube video, but, let's talk about this thing. See, doing the 1935 first was a very smart thing, even though the 1935 did come out after this. But I'm moving up in caliber, so I was, if you remember, we were at 25 cal here, and then we were at 32 cal here. Now we're moving to 380 cal here. And what's really cool, let's put these together here. What's really cool about these is that this is the 35, this is the 34. You might think, okay, why do you even have to show a video on both of these? It's just the same gun in a different caliber, so what are you really going to talk about? Or what are you going to show us? You know what I mean? But it's a completely different gun. The cool thing about Beretta is that their guns, even like this little guy, it almost looks like just a shrunken down version, but it couldn't be any different. Striker, fired hammer, totally different. These two guns are completely different. They follow the same function here. They have the same buttons and the same gadgets in all the same places, but they're two completely different guns, which is fascinating. It's like saying two cars are the same just because they both have hoods, doors, glass, wheels, transmission, but two different cars from, two different makes, or two different models. It could be like two Buicks, but like a Skylark and a Le Mans. They're just two totally different. Well, a Le Mans is a Pontiac, but you know what I'm saying. Two different cars that could even be from GM, but they basically look the same, but their underpinnings are all completely different. So, well, let's just start things off with a little overview of the 34. The 34 I have here is 1942 manufacture. Now, the deal with these were they made them from 1935, obviously. Why do I not have that written down here? I don't know when they made them, actually. They made these things, believe it or not, all the way into the 60s, but I don't have that written down on my paper here, but I just know it for a fact. I don't know the exact year they stopped making them, but they went through a lot of different incarnations of these things. So, but obviously, they first started making them before World War II, and they were introduced, they were right away slid right into World War II, and these things were made by the Italians until it got into like German occupation into 43 and 44. You start to see that they're made differently. They're wartime ones where they're not quite as polished, and they have German markings on them, and there's even different markings on the slide and stuff like that. But these, I wanted one like this, the pure Italian made ones, that even if you see this XX right here, is a Roman numeral for 20, because in 1922, the fascist calendar started, and they started numbering these things Roman letters. So if it had a, since 1934, I guess was when they first started making them, that would be 12 years after that. So it would be like XII, and so on, X, XV, XV1, XVI, all the way, and then this one, 42, would be XX, 43. I think that stopped. I think they stopped the fascist markings at some point too. But that's interesting where that comes from. The Roman numeral is from the fascist calendar, which started in 22, and you could date them that way also. This gun is interesting in that serial number 606824 was the gun that assassinated Gandhi. So there you go. A little bit of weird claim to fame. Let's see what I got here. I got some stuff written down. It's some interesting stuff. The grips here are Bakelite, steel-backed Bakelite. I've taken them off, and they're awesomely strong because they have that steel backing. It's pretty cool. The stuff, it's called fillback in Italian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but... And the chambering is 9mm Corto. So you can see it on here. Beretta caliber 9mm Corto. model 1934 Brevet Gardone, which was where the plant was. And this serial number, this late serial number in the 991,000 block was just perfect for me. Look at the little lanyard loop. Pretty awesome, huh? But just like the 35, same heel release, skeletonized magazine, the same disconnector in there. See that disconnector? They all have that. You see that in there, right? That's the disconnector. 35 has it. You see it in there. And even the little 418 has it. See it in there? And what's interesting is that these didn't originally have that. This 418 is a later design of this small pocket pistol that they actually first introduced that disconnector there. There's a lot of different versions of that 418, and the earlier versions didn't have that disconnector. And you could see this plum bluing like that was on the 35. On this 34, like permeates the whole gun. And it has that same slide will stay open on the last shot, but when you pull the magazine, it'll drop. And it has this safety here that is a kind of like pulls quadruple duty. It controls and holds in the recoil spring. It holds the barrel in place. When you put it like this, you lock the barrel in place, so that even with the slide back and no magazine, the barrel's locked in there. See, but if it were turned like this, it's a safety, number one, but it's also a slide hold open, number two. It gets stuck in that notch in the, you can see that notch in the slide right there. That notch, it'll sit right in there to hold the slide open, and the barrel at that point comes right out because this is turned, so it'll allow this rounded area right here is allowed to pass by. It flattens out when it's turned into this position. So it does four things there. And then so we might as well take it apart while we're here. It's as simple as that. That's what made these things so awesome, is they didn't have a striker flying around. It's an inertia firing pin. This slide is just so nice beefy slide. Very simple, easy to clean the barrel here. Polish that feed ramp if you want. You could really, clean these up. Easy to change these springs or do any kind of maintenance that you would need to do. And then, once again, same as the 35, we make sure that's seated. Make sure that's at position. Lock the slide back. Barrel falls into place. Magazine in. And again, I like to press the follower in with my finger to have it drop. As long as you're not messing around with the gun when it's loaded, you can do that. Well, obviously, because if it was loaded, you wouldn't be worrying about dropping the slide without loading it anyway. And again, the same thing here as on the 35 video, that if you kind of rotates this a little bit and push it with your finger, look at how it's popping out. See it? Whoa, I pushed it kind of far there too. That's scary. I don't know what happens if it fully comes out, but supposedly you were told if you were in trouble and you were going to get captured, to do that and pull this out and chuck this piece so that the gun couldn't be used. But I'm scared to do that, to actually see what happens, because I think it might, then the recoil spring might shoot back. You might not even be able to take it apart from there. I don't even know. Oh, I wish I had the guts to do that. I just don't. What if it's just that comes out and you can never get back? If that spring shoots back, you'll never get it forward again. I really wonder. If somebody knows, please let me know. So let's see, what other information do we have here? Oh, check this out about Beretta. Listen to this. They're the oldest firearms manufacturing company in the world. 1526. Okay, I can't believe that. They had guns in 1526. Maybe they weren't making guns. It just says this. Oh no, it says it's the oldest firearms manufacturing company in the world. Maybe they weren't making firearms though, because it says they're also the oldest continuously family-run business in the world, having been established by Bartolomeo Beretta as early as 1526. Well, the guy that invented these Beretta guns at around the beginning of the 1900s and into this gun, and definitely was the designer for this guy, Tullio Marangoni. All right, that's his name. The Italian Army adopted this thing in 1937. It's blowback operated 3080 ACP or 9mm Corto for this guy. Semi-automatic single action, 7-round magazine. Let's take a look here while I load this. These are snap caps from Realistic Snap Caps, except for that one. That one. See, now I have to have all 7. I have to go digging under my workbench for that. Why does that always happen? It always happens in a video. Something always hits the ground and does a beeline under my workbench. These beautiful all-brass snap caps are from realisticsnapcaps.com, where if you go there and you use checkout code Milsurp Garage, one word, MILSURPGARAGE, you will get 10% off. And as always with them, free shipping. What more could you want? Go take a look at the prices. He has a really cool website there. These things are manufactured in the United States on equipment made in the United States. Everything is all United States. He's a really nice guy. They have some kind of contracts with like the military to supply these snap caps for them. And if it's good enough for training with the military, it's good enough for my guys. And I do not get any monetary gain from these guys. I want to say that right away so YouTube doesn't cut my legs off at the knees. No monetary gain. I just do this so that hopefully if enough of you guys use that coupon code and he knows that you're buying them from my channel, he's going to send me some more snap caps, so like rifle calibers and who knows, different calibers, so that I can feature them in some future videos. And it'll work out for all of us. For him, for me, for you. Definitely work out for you if you buy these things, because look how awesome they are. Boom. Look how beautiful that's cycled. First of all, it's just a testament to how smooth this thing really works. But you would never know that with plastic or aluminum snap caps that would be getting all chewed up. You'd only know that if it was something that was like, that's what a real round would act like, you know what I mean? But look at this thing. Oops, see? Talk shit immediately. Okay, yeah, that first round, I didn't, see, you can't fool around with this thing. You really have to, these blowback actions, here's the thing with these blowback actions. They don't like to be babied because they're designed so that when the rounds are going off, that slide is getting hammered back. There is no, like, cushioning, there's nothing locking the barrel. They're just, seriously getting operated there. So that's how you have to cycle them when you actually do it by hand. You can't fool around. Although I'm convinced here. Let's try a little something. I'm convinced that this one is so broken in. I think I just didn't fully drop the slide and pick that round up. I think I'd be able to go slow. See that extractor right there? See how it's letting go of that? This is exactly what testing with these snap caps is for, because I can tell that this spring here is weak. And this is what it's telling me now. See how it's not holding it there? Now it's not going to matter when it shoots, actually, because the pressure of the round pushing back is going to jam that case against the slide. And it's going to eject it. However, if you have a malfunction or you need to manually eject that case, you're not grabbing it tight enough. See that? Because this spring is weak. So what do you have to do? You have to go get a new set of springs and lock this open. I'll show you what spring this is. It's this spring right here. See how I could pull this up? And I shouldn't be able to pull that up. That should be tight. And you can see how that's rocking there, right? You can see how that moves. You punch out this pin right here, and there's a spring sitting right on top. And I guarantee you, if I punch out the pin, it'll all be lazy. This will all just fall apart, and that spring will be squished. And you tap this out, and you put in the new spring, and then you actually have to push this down with your finger while you snap that pin into place, and then it's nice and tight, which is what I did to this little guy. That's what I did to this guy. That's why, look, I can't even lift this with my finger. See? Very tight. And this one I never replaced. However, it is definitely much tighter because this thing has a hell of a lot less mileage on it. I can't pull that up with my finger either. But here, this one, very floppy. But that's how, testing it here, I'm able to determine by looking at this. See that? That's why I'm having problems where I'm pulling back. Now what I'm doing is when I pull back, I'm going to chamber the next round right into the face of that because it's falling off. But like I said, when it's actually firing, it's going to be blasted back so hard against the slide, it's just going to eject itself. You're never going to notice it if you're just firing. But if you go to unload or you have a misfire and you go to pull that out, you're going to do that. And you're going to get like a double feed. Right? So this is what these snap caps are for, because you don't want to be fooling around like this with live rounds. You don't want to be pushing the nose of one round into the primer of the next. Trust me, not a smart move. So realistic snap caps is definitely the way to go to test that out. But good thing messing around with this video, that really shows me that I do need to get a spring kit. And you know what? It helps with everything, even the recoil spring. Even this spring right here it's feeling a little dead. This is feeling a little dead. Should be more like this. This one is much stiffer, and that's what it should feel like. This one's a little lazier. Now check this out. Here's what I want to tell you about how they're totally different guns. Look at this. Look at the difference when you look at them here. I always feel like I don't have enough light, but then when I watch the videos, there's definitely enough. Look at the difference. It's not just a larger barrel, it's totally shaped different. If you look at it closely, obviously they follow the same form, but look here, you can see it from the front. See how this is more squared off here, flat on the bottom, and this is just rounded. See the face of it, how different the slide is, how bigger the slide is, how much it... Look at it from this position, look here. Check out, need something to point with. Check out here, look at here. The size here, and then look at here. See how it's thinner? Look at the space here, the space here. It's a different gun, right? But when you just look at them sitting there, they follow the same form so much that you think they're the same. This is definitely much smaller. Much smaller. It's not just a smaller barrel that you're fitting inside of the same slide. It's a totally different slide. They're manufacturing a different gun here. But they both have this front. This is what's good about these, is that they're so damn durable. The sights are just so, look at that sight. It's just it's molded into the slide. And how the barrel stays there. That's the coolest thing about Berettas. They don't have ejection ports. They just have that open top. So we've gone from 25 to 32 to 380. Where do you think we're going next? That's right. 9mm is next. And we're going to take a huge jump. I think we're still going to be designed by Tullio Marangoni, but I'm going to make 100% sure just to check. And I don't really know a lot about this this next one, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on my own. This one, by the way, was an Army issue, the 1934. Says it is military. It was an Army issue. You can tell that by the RE back here, if you could see that. The RE stands for, let's see if I have that written down. I do not. It's over here in my article. If I could find that quick, I will relate it to you. RE is Regio Esercito, Royal Army. The Navy ones were RM, Regia Marina, Marina. That was Royal Navy. And the Air Force ones were RA, Regia Aeronautica, Royal Air Force. Yeah, this article here was really cool. A lot of information on them. But they do get interesting because if you want to go pre-war, you can go pre-war. You can go war. I went with the World War II. You can go later war, where you're dealing with the ones that the Germans were making for themselves. And then you can go after the war. You know what I mean? I think there was a period where they didn't make them for a while. And then Beretta, the company, was still around. They were making civilian ones again. And you know, then the 35 that you saw was kicked in back then, so you had two different calibers. Pretty interesting. But that's what I got for you right now. And we'll be back with the next installment with the 9mm. I'm going to have a big question mark as to which this one's going to be, because there's a bunch of them. But I'm sure you'll be happy with it. See you all soon. Take care.